So what are some of the problems that you're seeing that are coming in with men and women?
How do you mean?
So some of their pain points. You know, you were talking about testosterone being low. Are you doing estrogen supplementation too, or?
Well, like I said, we treat both sexes from a broad hormone standpoint, and I said it's not cookie cutter. We don't just have people come in, draw blood work, and put every single person on the exact same thing.
Sure.
It is really very specific to what the labs show us, what the patients are telling us, so that we can address the specific issues that they're having.
Welcome to Spaghetti on the Wall, where we throw ideas, see what sticks, and nurture those that do. I'm your host, Armando, an actor, entrepreneur, and coach, giving you insights that light up your world. We're here to explore the realms of business, marketing, and life, serving up a shot of inspiration with every episode. Ready to make ideas stick and grow them into something great? Let's dive in. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on when you are consuming this podcast. We're back with another one, Spaghetti on the Wall, and we've got Dr. Todd Howell from the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinic of Louisiana.
How you doing, boss?
I'm doing great.
Man, I appreciate y'all having us here today.
I'm glad to have you, and I'm glad you're here because I have a lot of questions. I was actually just in talks with a clinic in New Orleans, but I don't have a relationship with them yet. So
that's what we're here for.
So we'll have a conversation.
Absolutely.
And so you guys help men
and women,
with anti-aging and biohacking is a term that you guys use.
Yeah, you could call it that. Yeah, it's all things anti-aging. We treat men and women from everything from hormone replacement therapy to skincare to tattoo removal to liposuction. I mean, you pretty much name it. Anything that helps with health, wellness, feeling good inside and out, we pretty much do it.
Is this like a med spa?
Yeah, we like to think of ourselves a little bit more than a med spa. Because,
Okay.
because we go a lot deeper than just facials and fluff stuff. Like we practice more on the actual medical side than the spa side.
Are y'all plastic surgeons too?
I am not a plastic surgeon. I'm considered a cosmetic surgeon.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So I know I'm about to ask you to give me your life story in 2 minutes, but if you can condense it into two on just the backstory on how you got to where you got today.
Sure. I graduated medical school from New Orleans in about the year 2000, which makes me particularly old. And from there, spent some time practicing general surgery and then emergency medicine, and sort of kind of as a side, practice, we started in the anti-aging business back in October 1st, 2009, which puts us at 15 years in business. And very quickly, our practice grew, and we realized both the want and the need for health and wellness in men and women, starting at age 35 on up. So it didn't take long for me to retire from my practice of emergency medicine and devote myself to doing this full time.
Right on, man. That's less than 2 minutes. Nice and concise. So let's talk about energy, right? And how that starts to wane as we get older. And what are the things that you're recommending, and how do you help, older folks like myself get their energy back? So
if we're talking about men, with women, we're very, very familiar with the term of menopause. Women, their hormones stop dropping, they stop ovulating, and they get hot flashes and night sweats and all those things. Well, reality is, and most people aren't aware, is there is actually a very similar condition, and if you want to call it menopause, if you want to call it andropause, it's the same critter in men. Typically around the age of 35, we start noticing that testosterone levels start declining. With that decline, we see just an overall, the aging process starts. Guys feel tired. They feel less motivated. They start putting on fat, a little bit easier. They don't sleep well. Their sex drive stops.
Did you say a little bit easier?
A little bit easier, yeah.
We've got things easier.
And we got things for that too. But yeah, it's an overall change in the metabolic processes, that things start slowing down, things don't work as well. And, all those things that we noticed that happened, easier when we were younger, tend to become a lot more difficult. And what we found is that through the use of replacement of things like testosterone and nutrition and the proper vitamins, we're able to reset those metabolic processes, put people back at biological norms, and that's important because especially when you come to testosterone, a lot of people have a negative connotation about it. They think anabolic steroid, they think bodybuilder, and that's not what we're talking about here. I'm not interested in making people bigger. I don't know if I can say this on the air, but
say whatever you want.
But my phrase is I want my guys happy, healthy, and horny. Okay, just kind of bring life back, make people feel more motivated to do the things they aren't doing, and basically enjoy life again.
So, what's the difference between like Nugenics and those over-the-counter testosterone builders?
There's always when it comes to nutritional things, there's always a kernel of science, that they're able to kind of base their claims on, but in reality, a lot of supplements and things like that, they're going to work much better when you're younger and the engine's working. It's kind of like putting premium gasoline in the engine that's got 100,000 miles on it. You ain't going to get better results out of that engine. So the same thing. Adding a supplement, to testicles that aren't quite firing on all four cylinders, so to speak, you're just not going to get that same result. So you are going to eventually have to have some form of pharmacological supplementation to get you back to those norms.
And what does that look like? A pill, a patch, a shot?
There's a whole variety way of doing it. There is the way that I prefer to do it. Injections for guys, weekly injections. There are gels, there are creams. They have their utility in some people. There are, people hear a lot about pellets and bioidentical pellets. Those are options. I personally, I'm not a big fan of them just because, in my opinion, you can't control the release of testosterone, the same way that you can with weekly injection. So, you can sometimes have people who get put on pellets and it's like being put on a train without a engineer. That train takes off, and if it's out of control, there's nothing you can do to stop it till it kind of runs out of gas. So, so I prefer doing things a little bit more controllable. I feel my patients get better results, and we have less side effects with them. So,
what's the and what is this? A weekly shot for forever or what?
Well, and nothing is forever. Especially when you're talking about anti-aging medicine. Like I tell my patients, because I get asked that question a lot. It's certainly not. You've come in my office and I've had to tell you that you've got this disease or this cancer, and if you don't do X, Y, and Z, you're not going to be with us in a certain period of time. This is about improving quality of life. So to that end, you do it as long as you are happy enjoying the benefits of that, knowing that if you do choose to stop at any time, we can certainly wean you off it, and you can go back to life before therapy if that's something that you choose to do.
Is that going to give you energy? Is that going to,
What's that?
The testosterone?
Well, the benefits of testosterone, really depend on each individual. Hormone replacement therapy is not cookie cutter. It is not recipe driven. It is very, it's supposed to be customized for the patient because no two patients are identical. What I see from a very general standpoint, most of the guys that I tend to treat, they're coming in with broad complaints of just lack of energy, lack of sex drive, erectile dysfunction, things like that. Those tend to be the ones sort of the most biggest reasons I see men. So yes, we do tend to see improvements in energy, mood, libido, erections, things like that. There's a lot of the other ancillary benefits that you get from just having a normal, healthier metabolism, but those are kind of the primary things that we see.
What's HGH?
All right, so HGH, man, human growth hormone. That is one of the big buzzwords in anti-aging medicine right now, and I truly believe that eventually medicine will get to a point that we are able to prescribe growth hormone to kind of the same way that we're sort of edging towards stem cells and things like that, to help with reversing disease process and stuff like that. I think growth hormone is the key to a lot of anti-aging in the future. Medicine just hasn't caught up to that yet. Right now, there's still a lot of restrictions on us being able to prescribe growth hormone. So, it's kind of one of those things that we have to sort of dance around. There are medications out there People are very familiar with peptides now. It's kind of also one of the new hot topics that a lot of people are talking about. We've actually been prescribing peptides since 2009 for helping with getting the brain to improve its natural production of growth hormone, which in my opinion is actually safer. It's a safer way to if you're looking for the benefits of growth hormone, doing things to get your body to improve its natural production of growth hormone is always going to be a safer way than you injecting growth hormone out of a bottle.
What are peptides?
They're peptides. Like I said, the peptides that we deal with, you can get on the internet and there's all kinds of designer peptides out now. But the ones that we deal with specifically are what are called growth hormone secreting hormones. So basically, or growth hormone stimulating hormones. I'm sorry. They are medications that you would typically inject under the skin on a nightly basis. And what the medication is designed to do is designed to basically tell your brain while you're sleeping to improve its production of growth hormone. So it kind of is like a booster, if you will.
What's Sylvester Stallone on? This dude is like
I have
105.
Yeah, I have no idea what old Sly's doing these days. Sly or Arnold, for that matter. So
it's insane, right?
Yeah,
and like The Rock too. Like what is he on? Do you know? He's got to be on some sort of steroid.
Well, I'm not gonna conjecture on that one, but sure. You can look at these people and you can venture to guess that they're probably doing something to help kind of keep themselves healthy and young.
I mean, it is mind blowing when I see. What's the oldest patient that you've dealt with?
Oh wow!
Treated
On a hormone standpoint, I think my oldest male, I want to say, is like 78. Yeah.
And what's it like for him?
Oh, he's loving life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's he feels better than he felt for about 10, 15 years before he came to see me. So.
How long has he been your client?
I want to say he's been with us probably since the beginning. So he's probably been with us for about 13 years.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
And he just taking this stuff and living life and feeling good.
Absolutely.
Does he work out every day?
He's pretty active. Yeah, he's pretty active. I don't know if he works out anymore, but yeah, he still is active and he goes around and and does his businesses. He's still very involved in doing business and things like that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So what are some of the problems that you're seeing that are coming in with men and women?
How do you mean?
So some of their pain points. You were talking about testosterone being low. Are you doing estrogen supplementation too, or? Well,
like I said, we treat both sexes from a broad hormone standpoint, and I said it's not cookie cutter. We don't just have people come in, draw blood work, and put every single person on the exact same thing.
Sure.
It is really very specific to what the labs show us, what the patients are telling us, so that we can address the specific issues that they're having.
How long does it take before people start to see results?
It's actually pretty quick. For men, I would say that the vast majority see benefit by about 2 weeks, with pretty much 98% by 4 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very cool. And then these folks are staying on some sort of, regimen, like you're giving them, are you increasing the dosage, or it kind of stays the same, or it's maintenance?
And once again, going back to the importance on why coming to somebody like us is important as opposed to going to some of these, hormone mills and places that you see online, is because these places that treat online or out of state and that, do by, the video camera, they have no interest in watching for side effects or watching your lab work and making adjustments. They're just out to just sell you drugs and cash in on you. Okay. Our practice, we require our patients to come in twice a year. We get routine blood work. We listen to our patients to see what's going on in their lives. We figure out if something has changed, we try to figure out exactly what's caused the change. Has one hormone gotten out of balance too high? Has one gone out of balance too low? And we make the appropriate adjustments and tweaks to make sure that our patients, like I said, keep in that happy, healthy, and horny state.
Are you a client?
No, unfortunately, I'm not. Can't treat myself.
But you have a business partner.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
But he's not a physician.
He's not a physician.
No, it's not.
Okay.
Yeah.
So who do you go see?
I have to do the old-fashioned primary care doc myself. So
gotcha.
Yeah.
So what happens if people don't address these things? Like what are you seeing?
Well, that's a hard question to answer because, it's not like we know that if you let your cholesterol get out of control, it's going to predispose you to heart disease. Not having testosterone, it's not an automatic, if you don't do this, then this is going to happen to you. However, we have seen a lot of literature that shows that low testosterone predisposes people to, increased risk of prostate cancer. Low testosterone increases risk of heart attack and stroke. There's a lot of things especially recently, we've seen a lot of new studies that have come out. Whereas, years ago when I first started, there was still a big buzz that testosterone was bad, and testosterone caused all these horrible things. And there was actually a journal article that was published in one of our really esteemed journals, the JAMA, that actually came down on testosterone in the early years, saying that, it's bad, it's going to cause all these heart attacks and strokes. That is subsequently, look fast forward about 12 years later, that has been disproven by a lot more research studies. And they've actually shown that, having normal levels of testosterone as you enter older years, decreases health risks and health problems overall.
So can you tell me some stories, and you don't have to mention names, but tell me some stories of people that you've helped and, what their life is like? That's one that I wasn't prepared for. Because I've seen so many thousands of people over the years, and just there's not one particular person that comes to mind. But I can tell you that we've saved lives on so many levels and saved marriages on so many levels. I still to this day have patients that come up to me in restaurants and shake my hand and thank me for saving their marriage or catching their prostate cancer or you name it, and being there when they didn't have, other people, to take care of them. So it's been very rewarding. I really, really enjoy what I do. Very cool. And so what are the offers that you have? Is it like a menu item that people can come in and be like, I want that and this and this?
Well, like I said, we don't do cookie cutter medicine. We don't do, it's
just based on the person.
We treat everybody, very individually. We have standard labs that we get on all of our patients, and then based on what those labs show and what the patients are, kind of complaints, if you will, are, then we're going to customize a program that's going to best fit them.
That works. And so where can they find you?
So we are located in both Baton Rouge and Lafayette. In Baton Rouge, we're at 8485 Bluebonnet Boulevard, right next to Brewbacher's. It's a big white standalone modern-looking building. And then Lafayette, we are on 5000 Ambassador Caffrey in the Providence Parkway or the Province Partners Office Park.
Okay, cool. Y'all expanding into New Orleans?
We've looked at New Orleans, yeah. So, that's always possible, for sure.
So let me ask you about perimenopause. I know a lot of ladies are sort of struggling with this, and how do you guys address it, and how do you guys help?
So, I know we spend a lot of time talking about the male side of what we do, but like I said early on, we do see women as well. And a lot of the women that I end up seeing are women that are very, very frustrated because they go to their OBGYNs and, they're having issues, and, if the OBGYN will draw blood work on them, and they'll be like, oh no, your blood work looks fine, and you're, come back and see me in a year. And they're kind of watching that needle, on the lab work, if you will, until the tank reaches empty. And then they can say, okay, well, you're in menopause, and now let's talk about, doing X, Y, and Z. No one is helping these women on the perimenopause side of it when that engine, the proverbial engine we've talked about, the proverbial engine starts to sputter. When one day you feel great, the next day you feel like shit. And we, like I said, we spend a lot of time with our patients, getting into the history, getting into what's going on, and trying to identify whether we need to adjust estrogen levels or progesterone levels or whatever it is in women to help them with that time period before they enter menopause, and then we can obviously take that to a whole different level.
That's great. So they can obviously reach you through this. What does this process look like an intake? You take the labs, what's the customer journey like?
So typically, our when we schedule a consultation in our practice, we don't charge for consultations, not for anything that we do, whether it's aesthetic or hormones. We don't charge, to sit down and talk to our patients. And I've always believed that, that patients, should have that access, at least to sit down with a physician, to talk with them, and find out what's available to them, and then, basically go from there, when as far as treatment goes. So we don't charge for consultations. We'll meet with our patients, and then, once again, working together with our patients, we talk about, if we decide to get blood work or whatever the next steps are. If we get labs, we'll draw some lab work. Then we typically see back patient in about, 1 to 2 weeks thereabouts. At that point, we review the blood work with them, tell them what we found, tell them what our recommendations are, and then once again, kind of put it back in the hands of the patient to say, this is what we think we ought to do. Kind of where do you want to take control of your therapy? And that's important, is that it's not insurance companies dictating your therapy. It's not insurance companies dictating where how you're treated. This is sort of a process where we include our patients in the discussions, make them very much a big part of how to control their therapy and where to go with it.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. We really do appreciate it. If you guys are in the Baton Rouge and Lafayette area, look them up, get the help. I'll be coming to see you to have a conversation.
Awesome, bro.
Yeah, awesome.
Thank y'all.
Yeah. And that was Spaghetti on the Wall, brought to you by LeDuc Entertainment. For all of your video production needs, podcasts, videos, we got you. Keep watching, keep listening, and we'll see you all next week.